One of my favorite things about the college baseball postseason, all the games are televised by the ESPN family of networks. And it's not that they're televised, it's that ESPN gives us the natural effects from the field. So we're going to get that awesome crack of the bat, snap of the glove, maybe stuff like ump you stink, that kind of stuff too from the field. I love the postseason because we get closer to the field than we usually do for the radio broadcast. And that just, I don't know, that makes the radio geek in me get even geekier. All right, Carson Shaddy's with us. I was about to say former Razorback second baseman, but he played everywhere for Arkansas. And I think he would know what to do on a day off in Hoover, because he's had a few days in Hoover without much to do before, except maybe practice and rest. Carson, it's been a while. Good to talk to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Phil. How are you doing?
I'm in Hoover, man. I mean, we got a day off on Friday. I don't know if I could be any better right now. Yeah. What am I supposed to do today with a day off in this lovely town?
Man, I mean, I don't know about what they're doing as far as COVID rules, but I can tell you that on my off day, I'd be spending the whole day at the arcade that's set up in the hotel for the players. That's for sure. I don't know if they've got that going on this year because of COVID, but if they do, that's where I'd be.
Well, I'm not in the team hotel this time around, so I don't know. And I know exactly the room you're talking about. I remember every once in a while I might sneak in there and steal a Sunkist or a Dr. Pepper or something. Yeah. But was that one of the aspects of being at the SEC tournament, which is much different than any of the other postseason events that you do get involved in that, you're staying in the same hotel as many of the other teams, and you're interacting with those players, and sometimes you're even competing against them in like ping pong and foosball. That's got to be some of the fun of this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the SEC does a great job in posting, and they make it to where it's so easy for anything you want as a player you can get. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it definitely gets old after making a long run. There's nothing really fun about being in the hotel for 10 to 12 days, but it is awesome, and it's cool to be able to interact with other players. Along the season, you'll pick up on some guys that are real friendly, and you'll get to talking to them and learn their story, which is really cool. And it's just a cool aspect, and it's cool to be around other players and coaches as well, for sure.
Well, and one of the most exciting stories of this season, obviously, has been watching Kevin Kopps just dominate in a way that I've never seen a pitcher dominate before. On a level that nobody would have expected. I want to ask you now. Kevin from when he first came in, and I think you guys might have been 1 year apart. What was Kevin like? What was Kevin Kopps like when he first joined the Arkansas baseball program? And do you see any similarities or differences that you can point out now watching him pitch?
Yeah, well, I think that he might be 2 years apart. We might be 2 years apart.
Okay.
So there was a little bit of a little brother, big brother type relationship between me and Kevin, and I still think there is. He came in as a walk-on, so that's something that we shared together. We always just kind of molded really well. Kevin's a great guy. He came in, and he was just kind of, wide-eyed, just like all freshmen are, and just trying to fit in. And, he did a great job as a freshman, and he earned the right to come back the following year, which is a big deal for a walk-on. It really is. And then from now, he just seems like he's so much more in control and of what he's doing on the mound. He's always been a straight-laced guy off the field, and just a great teammate. And, you can see that and see the leadership that he brings and things of that nature. So, I would say that the biggest difference is probably leadership. He understands the program and understands the business and understands what's asked of him. As a freshman, it's really hard to understand that unless you're Andrew Benintendi or someone else like that. So, I think it would be leadership for sure. It's a big difference.
Carson, you're pointing something out that I felt you also got in the seasons where Blaine Knight and Isaiah Campbell took those giant steps forward. Yeah. 2018 Blaine, 2019 Isaiah. And both of them on the field were great, but there was a leadership role that they both took, and you can still see the residue of those guys' leadership from those teams on this team. Kevin has taken that mantle in the same way. Yeah, absolutely, and that's a credit to DVH. He instills the fact that players govern this team, and that hasn't changed since the 2000s. I can think of
listening to Jackson Lowry and Brian Anderson and Jake Wise and Jacob Stone and Trey Killian. All those guys were my leaders, and they kind of just passed the torch, and that's what's important. That's one of the important values in this program, and why I think that we have so much success is the team governs itself, and the leadership is just extraordinary. I mean, you can look back at James McCann. He was probably the best leader of all time that's worn an Arkansas jersey, and it just keeps getting passed down. And I think it's here to stay. I think that they're a really hard-nosed team, and they're going to work regardless of their ranking and what people are saying about them. And that's what's something fun about this team is we might not win pretty. It might be ugly, but they show up and they get the job done, and it's really fun to watch for sure.
Carson Shaddy joining us here on Halftime. Carson, when you look at specifically that 2018 team that went to the College World Series National Championship team, and obviously this team has aspirations to get back there this year, is there any similarities that you've seen, just kind of like the mindset of this team, kind of like their swagger and anything like that you've that compare between the team that you're a part of to this year's team?
Yeah, and I think the big deal is just, you show up to the yard and you don't care who you're playing. It's you could be facing, for instance, Kumar Rocker, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything bad about Kumar. I think he's great. But they showed up and they realized that Kumar has to face the Arkansas baseball team. They're not facing Kumar Rocker, so all the pressure is on him. And that's what I kind of see. That's how we thought in 18. All the pressure's on the pitcher, regardless of who it was. And I see a lot of that this year. We're playing, up to that level when we get those big trophies on the mound, which is really exciting. And Vanderbilt's a good team, and they're going to be in the College World Series, at some point. I think, I think that they've got the rotation, everything, and then it just looked like, it just looked like we were in control all day, and I think that's a true testament to, this team and them just showing up to the yard. So I would say, just showing up to the yard is probably the biggest similarity between the two.
I wanted to get your thoughts on this too. As we've had several listeners text in with this year's team being the overall number one team. I mean, they've been number one for, Phil, correct me, 10, 11 straight weeks, I believe. Is that right?
I've lost track.
They've been number one. We'll just say for most of the year, been the number one team in the country. Then they already have the overall number one seed locked up, that this SEC tournament doesn't necessarily matter. So why participate or anything like that? I was looking back when you were a part of this team in 2017, or the 2016-17 and 17-18. That team made runs to get to the semifinals in your last year and then the championship game the year prior. So I was just curious, what was your mindset? What's the player's mindset coming into an SEC tournament where in most cases you knew you were going to regional, some cases you knew you were hosting the super regional. So what motivated you guys to kind of come into the SEC tournament and to play well and try to make a run to win the whole thing?
Yeah, so, I mean, just for so in 17, we needed to win games in the SEC tournament. And that was, our goal was hey, it's do or die. We want to get to that point to where we're in a good spot to host a regional, things of that nature. But for in 18, we knew we were going to be a national seed. So it's more of, it's you're going into these games and you don't want to give it up, but you go in and as a hitter, you're trying to get your rhythm back, or just get your rhythm, good practice and things of that nature. But at the same time, you're still working to win the game because it's your team. And you're going to battle for your team. So, me personally, as a senior, when I went into the 18 SEC tournament, I was just trying to tell myself not to get hurt, get back to the basics. See good pitches, get my eyes adjusted, and good brush up for regionals and super regionals in the College World Series that we knew that we were going to have on the way. So.
Carson Shaddy with us for another couple of minutes here. Let's see which direction to go with this. Carson, how long did it take you to perfect your Dave Van Horn power stance? Because nobody did it better than you. And the first time you try it, there's subtle differences. How long did it take before you perfected that power stance?
It's funny you say that. I've never once tried to mimic DVH. That picture, I think it was at Georgia. I was just trying to get a good eye view of what was going on the field, and there was the dugout was right on top of my head, and I had to put my head down a little bit, and it caused my hands to come up, and I was just right behind him. And I don't know how that was just so perfectly taken a picture of, but I guess that's one thing I'm known for, is being able to do that. I guess it just comes with being around them every day of the week. You get to the point where you start doing the things that your mentors are doing and things like that. So I guess that's my answer.
I need to find this picture.
Oh, it's hilarious too. And you'll never convince me that you weren't trying to do it, because you looked exactly like him, man, just exactly like him. Let's see. I still don't think I've ever quite seen something quite like the performance that Chad Spanberger put on in that 2017 SEC tournament. It's like every single swing went over the fence. And they tell you don't hit home runs in Hoover. It's like, did you meet Chad Spanberger? He owned this ballpark. There was nothing like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an unbelievable run. It's one of the many things that I saw in my career that I just was, couldn't believe that was happening. And watching him do what he did was just unbelievable. He was just in a different level. He towards the end of the year, he really started to catch fire. I think the last season, or the last series before that, he had a couple home runs too. And just watching a teammate be locked in like that, it's so fulfilling, especially on a team, a program like Arkansas. Everybody cares for each other, and everybody just wants each other to succeed, and that's kind of the program. And being able to see him do that was really, really cool. So just one of many great things I got to see my teammates succeed in. That was awesome.
And in that same tournament, Lyle Lockhart almost completed a 7-inning no-hitter / perfect game. You guys threw a combined 7-inning run rule no-hitter against Auburn. And that was just such an odd accomplishment, I think would be the way to put it. Who was it? Taccolini, Reindl, and Alberius pitched in that game. Yep. Do you remember what that was like, and like what the celebration after that was like? And did you guys realize that this was a no-hitter? And what was the conversation about being 7 innings?
Well, me personally, I can remember vividly. I had no idea that it was a no-hitter until after the game was over. I was shell-shocked about what Chad Spanberger's performance. And after it, it was awesome. I went up to Alberius and I was like, "You guys just throw a no-hitter?" And he's like, "Yeah, we did." And so, that was cool. And we celebrated as much as we could by hanging out with each other and playing cards, playing video games, things like that. But it was a big deal. And Van Horn was happy, and all was good, man. That was a great game all around for sure.
All right, last thing, and I'll let you go, because I don't get to watch these games with you, and you were a pretty cool customer when you were playing. I sit in the booth with Bubba, and you know what Bubba's like. He's a nervous wreck during these games. He never sits down. What is Carson Shaddy like when watching when you were watching the rubber game with Arkansas in Knoxville against Tennessee? What were you doing? Were you bouncing off the walls?
No, I wasn't. I was calming people down. Sort of my role nowadays since I'm out of the program. All my friends, they seem to worry too much about, maybe not getting enough hits in the first 4 innings, or maybe not getting enough runs in the first 4 innings. I was like, guys, it's baseball. It's a 9-inning game. That's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is getting a W at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter how pretty it is, how ugly it is. So I'm kind of the guy, the voice of reason that calms everybody down. I'm definitely nervous for my ex-teammates' success, and anytime I see like Bolden, Vermillion, Opitz, Kevin Kopps, and I'm missing some other ones too, and Nesbitt, I get nervous for them for sure, because I just want to see them succeed. But other than that, man, I feel like I'm pretty calm, cool, collected, and try to just be the voice of reason for the people that haven't been inside the program like I have.
Sounds like you never lost that catcher's mentality. Carson, I could go on forever with you, but we got to cut it here because we're coming up against a break. Thanks for your time. Have a great weekend, and got to see you at Baum-Walker Stadium in the postseason, okay?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
You got it. All right, Carson Shaddy. We say former Razorback. You're never really a former Razorback when you're someone like Carson Shaddy. I put Bubba Carpenter in the same category.
Absolutely.
And that's rare air to be with. 877-377-6963 to get with us on halftime. Brought to you by our friends at Pradco Outdoor Fishing Lures. Largemouth bass have spawned all across Arkansas and Oklahoma. You need the famous Yumdinger in order to catch them in your tackle box. And they're in the tackle boxes of bass anglers all over the states, all over the world. And they're made by truckloads in Fort Smith by Pradco, 3, 4, 5, 6-inch sizes. And you'll find the Yum Dinger at Walmart, Bass Pro Shops Academy, LureNet.com, and tackle stores all over the place. The Yum Dinger.